So yeah, I'm going to talk about you, Colleen, because um, yeah, there's been a lot of talk and attention on me, Jake, and Ben, and obviously you are now our newest and by far the most talented team member that we have. Um, so yeah, welcome to the team. I know we've been through all that, but it's nice for the wider public to see your face, and we'll start to see all the incredible work you're doing. So
I'm
tell
happy
us,
to
tell, of
be here.
course, tell us a little bit about Colleen, because
Yes.
people that follow you will know kind of some of the special skills that you have, which I'm very jealous about. But yeah, tell us a bit about you, like what's got you into football and sport, and why you've come to speak more languages than I can remember.
Of course. So I'm originally from Brantford, Ontario. If you're a hockey fan, you'll know why Brantford is famous because it's the home of Wayne Gretzky. It's an hour and 30 minutes outside of Toronto. So I grew up there. I started playing football and golf when I was 5 years old. Mainly football, golfing here and there on the weekends. I did golf camp as well as a small child.
The irony is, if you'd been good at golf, I mean, that's it's probably the sport to go down.
Yeah, right? I didn't though. I went fully into football. It's actually funny because my mom had this rule where she was like, you have to play the sport for at least 2 years. The first year when I was five, I absolutely hated playing football. Second year, fell in love with it and played ever since. I played at a high level, so elite level in Canada. And unfortunately, at the time when I started, there wasn't as much development around women. Like now you have the Northern Super League, which is amazing. It's the first women's professional football league in Canada. And so I was kind of met with, like, when I was 17 years old, obviously I wanted to be a professional, but there wasn't that pathway for me. And I was like, okay, well, now I'm met with, I'm going to go to school, but I also have to work. So I'm not going to be able to play
Mm.
university because I won't have time to work two part-time jobs and go to university to pay my bills, to pay for my tuition, everything. So I just played for fun. I always played with boys growing up. Never met. It's funny because in Canada, I was never met with any like judgment. But then when I came here to France, I was definitely met with like a lot of
What?
judgment.
Why do you think that is?
It's a good question. I don't know if it's because sometimes we're in North America we're a bit more open-minded. It depends like to what extent. Like I'm not going to say that sexism doesn't exist there or a misogyny. Of course it exists there. But I don't know why in that time like I was never met with any sort of judgment. And so when I came here to France and I did my master's degree and there were guys in my master's degree who didn't want to play football with me, always put me down just because I was a woman. Like, oh, we're going to start with 1 point higher because we have a girl on our team.
Yeah,
I was never, I was never met with that before. So I didn't know how to deal with it as well.
mad.
It's crazy. But anyway,
Yeah,
yeah,
crazy.
I will just go on about how I speak over 7 languages. So I did my degree at the University of Toronto in French, Spanish, and German, but I also
Mm.
took courses in Arabic, Italian, and Portuguese. I love languages. I wanted to be a translator at first, and then during the 2022 World Cup, my mom was like, why don't, because I was kind of deciding like what to do after my degree, and my mom was like you love football so much, like why don't you think about pursuing a career in football? And then I went online like researching master's degree programs, and I came across the one that I went to, which amazing, it was such a great experience. But yeah, I had never thought of it before. I think too it's just because we don't see as much female representation in the industry. Like I had never ever thought of a career path in sports ever.
No,
Yeah.
no. Talk to me about the languages, because it fascinates me. I keep dabbling to try and learn Swedish. I've got family in Stockholm, and the thought of even getting 10% through a new language is, yeah, it's just super daunting. Like, when did you realize, like, I'm really good at this?
Mhm.
Like, when did you realize?
I think that's a really good question. I moved to France when I was 18 to learn French, and I learned in 6 months, which it's quite fast, but I was also like surrounded by it, and I was hanging out with people like French people, and they would just speak French the whole time, and I had no
Mm.
idea what they were saying at some points. But then it kind of like dawned on me when I was in university, like, oh, I can pick up languages really fast. I'm not good at math, but I can pick up languages like that here and there, and the sound as well. And it's funny because when I speak Arabic now, people are so shocked at my accent when I speak in Arabic. They're like, no way. Like, are you sure there's no history or lines to the Middle East in your family or something, because you speak very well. So it's really funny how that becomes. But yeah, so I speak over seven now. I would like to learn Ukrainian because my family comes from the Ukraine, but a bit distantly. It was my great grandpa who came from the Ukraine, so that would be something that I would like to learn in the future.
I love that. I wonder if they're like, I'm going to look at this while we're
Yeah,
talking. Like the person who speaks the most amount of languages
in
in
the
the
whole
world.
world. Yeah, because
You
I
know
wonder how many, right? Because there's people who speak like 20. I'm gonna say, like, I've seen YouTubers who are like, I speak 20 languages, and then they go out and like test people.
so it's saying there like there's no single definitive answer, but historically, people like Sir John Bowring and Cardinal Giuseppe Mezzofanti were said to have known like dozens of languages,
Yeah,
like 50 languages.
it's
Okay.
crazy.
I was going to say you could go for a world record, but maybe
Right? I
maybe
think
we're a
it's
little bit off.
hard. Might be a little way off, but I think seven to ten. Like, my goal personally is like, I want to be absolutely fluent in like 7 to 8 languages by the time I'm 30. So I have four
Mm,
years to go. We will
yeah.
see. I'm crossing my fingers. But you're learning Swedish, so how are you learning?
I say I'm learning Swedish. I mean, I'm learning off my nephews who are embarrassingly they're like 4 and 7. And when I go over there and do the school run, that like they literally have to translate for me, which is kind of the reason why. Partly because I'd love to move there, but I have to just stand there and be like, not sure what. While my 7-year-old or my 4-year-old nephew is talking fluent Swedish to their teacher, and yeah, so yeah, and obviously the Scandi languages aren't particularly easy to
No, definitely not.
learn.
No,
But
even
I
Danish.
love that. It's the I'm very jealous. It's a wicked skill.
I think
Um,
so. If you learn, like, I know everyone says if you learn one or two, then it's easier to learn another. I think it's just your brain is more like used to picking up languages after, because you've already done a couple. Just depends too on like how similar it is to the other languages. Like for me, Arabic is still so hard because it's so different from all of the Latin languages that I speak, from German and yeah, and
crazy,
English. So
crazy. So talk to me about the social media and the content stuff,
yeah.
because again, me and Jake said I'm an old bastard, and I know it's not an excuse not to do it. I'm 40 years old, so I'm not really, but social media content, it's a thing. As we've been building season one, we've got lots of strengths, network strengths, lots of things going for us, but like social media and content and showing up, we're very honest and open in the sense that it's not our skill set. We can go out there and do it, but it's definitely not like, is this a passion you've always had? Is it something you've had to learn?
Mhm.
Because I'm sure there's loads of people, especially like myself, who have to really force themselves to like get in front of a camera. I can stand on a stage and talk to people live, love it. I've done a lot of it in the past, but standing in front of one of these things, I feel like an absolute knob.
Yeah.
So
No, I feel
like,
like in the beginning it's so hard, like to just to a camera, like literally I have my camera right here, and it's like so hard to just like start talking to a camera. I was talking about this with Jake the other day, and I told him, just pretend you're talking to your best friend. Like, pretend your best friend is in front of you and just talk. I think like that's my best piece of advice, because even for me sometimes I feel awkward, but then after like you do it a couple of times, I feel like it becomes more natural. I don't know if you feel like that now because you've done it a few times.
do you know what it is? Like, it's not necessarily a confidence issue.
Yeah.
It's I trade on
Mhm.
this with people, the nodding, the like. the engagement. So that tells me, like, where's the humor? Like, it's reading the room, right? And I love that. So it's not necessarily the confidence thing, but when I'm stood in front of that, I have nothing. I have no feedback. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you
You're
end
like,
up
what do
just
I
being
say?
like deadpan, just like,
Yeah, no, but it's so true because you're so used to interacting with people and to kind of see like the social cues of like how people are taking what you're saying. And
mm,
when you're with your phone, there's no feedback at all. But for me, yeah, it's from the time I can remember, I had a video camera and I was always creating my own movies and then editing them when I was little. So I've just always been like hyper creative in that
mm,
sense. And for me now, like I love, you know, that I do my own content creation, like on my personal channels. And I love also creating content for season one because I think the pillars are perfect. Like you, football, future, and tech. Like there's so much to talk about within these pillars. And you can be creative, like so creative in different domains. So I think that it's really amazing.
mm. And we've talked about plenty of that. And again, like, speak about how you go through, and obviously we're going through the same process with you with season one. Like, there'll be loads of people, and again, me included, you kind of sit and you go, what, how, where do I start? What do I, how do I get going?
Mhm.
Like, what has been your process?
I'm
Tell
like,
people about your process.
yeah, I'm like the worst for overthinking, especially before I go to bed.
Mm,
So sometimes I keep like a notepad and a pen because I have to write things down, or I just use my phone, like the notes. My ideas come to me pretty much throughout the day or before I go to bed. It's just, I guess, how my brain works.
mm,
And then also, ChatGPT can be a friend when you're trying to ideate as well. I use ChatGPT to help me ideate. Sometimes it's already things that I've thought about as well too. So I'm like, okay, great, for whatever demographic I'm trying to reach or whatever niche I'm trying to create this video for, it's already within what ChatGPT has said. So yeah, I would say to, if you aren't like a, because there are people who do content creation who aren't super creative, who
mm,
say that they're not creative. And so I think ChatGPT can be your friend there, just trying to ideate. Also, like, look at other people who are creating videos in the area that you want to create videos. Don't necessarily copy them, but take inspiration from what they create as well.
mm.
That will
It's a
be
really interesting point. Like, you said, actually, I've heard this a few times this week, right? People saying, I'm not creative,
Mhm.
um, or it's in here, but I don't know how to like visualize it. And we're starting to build some stuff into season one now. There's never been, like you mentioned, ChatGPT, right, being a bit of an ally and a kind of sounding board, which is the right way to do it, rather than kind of relinquishing control. But like, now, have you seen this week the new Sora 2 video generator from
No, I
OpenAI?
haven't seen that.
So I'll say to people in the community, and we're building out some kind of content and some learning around it. Is, you've got all the tools here, right? To know you can no longer say I'm not creative anymore. So
Wow.
in the football sphere, whether you've got an idea, a new business, you're a content creator, you're working in a team, and you're coming up with campaigns, or whatever it might be, you now have tools that cost you next to nothing to take what's in here, spit it out, whichever way. It doesn't need to be super articulate. Spit it out into a chat GPT, spit it out, into, if it's more of a visual thing you're trying to create, spit it out into a mid journey, which costs you 10 quid a month, spit it out into Sora, which is part of ChatGPT, right? Which you might spend 20 quid a month on, or you can also access it for free. It gives you all of that visual creativity, and then that's your inspiration. But going back to Sora 2, it's not available in the UK yet, which is really annoying. But you look at like the previous video models, and you kind of think, oh, yeah, they're kind of okay for some things, but you can see it's a bit glitchy and it's not really ready yet.
Not like 100%, yeah.
Sora 2, I am now genuinely worried for Hollywood.
Okay. I have to look at it after this. I haven't seen it yet.
I mean, I've watched a few, and obviously they put a little watermark on it, which for some of the videos is literally the only thing that will tell you that it's not real. It looks that good. So even like the physics of things, like motion and like complex movement, it like they did an example video of a dude jumping off a paddleboard
Mm-hmm.
into some water, and all the water and like the physics of the water was as it should be.
Wow.
It's absolutely mental. So like it's kind of it's a good segue with it. Like if you are young or anybody, and we've got a few within the community who are starting their own things, take your idea, brain dump it, however it comes out, brain dump it into a ChatGPT or another LLM, but ask it to be your companion.
Literally, because it's gonna help you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll find the holes in your thinking, you'll kind of find the next steps, and we've got some guides and tools that will help you do that. But then you can create visually, mood boards, like you can create animations now. And then you might want to get someone to start putting it together, or you might go down a pathway to be able to create things yourself. You can now vibe code, right? This people who don't know what vibe coding is essentially again, freely available platforms where you can use natural language to create a prototype app. So there's places like Claude Artifacts, Lovable is another one. You can literally get from idea to build for about 50 quid a month.
Which is crazy because that's not that much, because you'd have to hire someone too before, and it would cost more. Maybe.
Well, I mean, you think about it, you would hire, once you've got the idea out, which generally takes a lot of time, you'd probably hire someone to help you get that idea out. You'd hire someone to then go through a process of going, what does my business look like from a name, a logo, a visual, and it generally needs to be simple for someone who's just starting out. But that will cost you some money, and then you've got a website build, and then if it's a product-based business, you've then got to prototype the product, and obviously that often costs thousands of pounds.
To do, yeah.
Now you can work out your idea, the visuals, and the market fit with tools that will cost you pennies a month, and you don't need to know how to code, develop. Like it's nuts. And so I think like that I say excuse, like that I'm not creative anymore, doesn't really wash, but it's just getting people like understanding that these tools are available, and they are actually of use to you. My dog is growling away. If you could see him, he's literally sat. Can you hear him?
Yes, I can hear him. He wants to join the
He's,
conversation.
he's joining in. He wants to be a content creator.
Yeah. But yeah, you're totally right. That's like maybe people who believe that they're not creative, like there are ways for them to ideate and to be creative as well. These tools.
100%.
Yeah.
And these are the skills of season one, right? You talked about the pillars earlier. Football, technology, and future, and these are all relevant. But specifically the technology piece, we take through the journey of like you need to understand and like nurture self-discovery, nurture the curiosity to, I guess, have the willingness to follow that passion, to really nurture that idea, to believe that actually it's not as ridiculous as you think it might be or unachievable, and understand like this is, I guess, like part of the future skill set that's already here now. And people are kind of really waiting on it for various reasons, right? They don't want to know, they don't know. And when they get there, they don't really know how, and it feels like super complicated. Yeah. These are the skills that you can pick up now, not necessarily in big master's degrees. They're on the ground, in the trenches, and stuff that's going to bring you like a hell of a lot of value. If you're a storyteller, right, which most content creators, right, there's a storytelling element to it. You can bring so much more to the party, and I feel like now's such a good time because you've got competency in the technology, right? Example, Sora 2, a lot of the image generators, but also the LLMs themselves. In probably a year, 2 years' time, this sounds really, really wild, but like in a couple of years' time, there's going to be like machinery, right? There's going to be robots. I mean, I watched a couple of new marketing campaigns for these robotics companies, and they're now in the home doing in-home testing, folding towels, doing the washing. Like this is that's the next piece, and the people that have the skills now will be okay in that future economy when it comes to football, right? And you think about these kind of robots doing hospitality at stadiums, and like, sounds nuts for it coming out of my mouth, but that is going to be the future of it. And like,
Sure, yeah.
if you can be the storyteller now and utilize the tool while we have that relationship, you, you're going to be all right,
Yeah.
right? You're going to be the ones leading the projects and leading, teams of people,
Mhm.
but also there's going to be this human, this increased need for that kind of human element of it. So if you can really nurture both, so important, and it's where we kind of, I guess, have advantage with season one, right? Is
I love that we have the little quick tips on how to use these.
yeah, we're thinking that way, and we're really now developing, not just learning, right? So we've started out. Yes, we've got the long form. Yes, we've got the quick courses. Yes, we've got the tools and the guides to take you through specific softwares. But we're now adding things like mini tasks on there. So yes, like there's not a certificate at the end of our learning at the minute, but what it does do is we can create tasks that are you can reflect, act on, and then showcase within the community.
Hmm.
So I've just done one for breaking into sports journalism with Richard Lenton, who's executive producer for Football's Financial Shame, and we've got some tasks at the end of it. And any budding sports journalist can go in, they can watch those videos, right, and the long form conversation if they want to, and then go, hey, I've got some reflections, some bits to write down, and some a mini task to immediately go and do when it comes to sports journalism. To then put that back into the community and say, hey, I've done this mini task, this is what I've got. Richard's in the community, other people are in the community who will see that.
Yeah, exactly.
So automatically you're building either initially like a passive relationship, there's an observance from people who are making decisions, but sometimes this kind of direct, I love that, I want to connect with you, there are opportunities to have. So like we've gone from like content creation, the passions behind it, the skills that are available to you,
Hmm.
and not having to be the one now who goes, oh, I'm not creative, I'm not good with that, I'm not good with that. It's expensive, it's time consuming, I've got priorities. It's like you can do these things now.
Yeah.
It's just understanding how to do it. And obviously this is part of the wider ecosystem. Um, I want to spend like a few minutes because this might set us up for our next conversation
Yeah, no worries.
about your like the love of football, but like how you've seen things change and what the challenges you feel still are. Obviously, you're in a different, like you're in like that French economy with the French league, and things can differ from country to country. But I'd love to know, like, passions, challenges. How is it? How have things changed?
That's a really great question. It, it changed. I feel like, okay, if we're talking about global powers, obviously it changes. Like 10 years
Mm,
ago, it was China who wanted to
mm,
be the dominating power in the sports world, football world. Now we're looking at the Middle East, so the Gulf states, so like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, mostly Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. So if we're talking from a geopolitical perspective, it would be that,
mm,
I think. And then also now you're seeing like a huge rise in women's football, which I think is amazing because, as I said before too, like when I grew up in Canada, I didn't have that, the
mm,
Northern Super League, which is absolutely incredible, for women who play football now in Canada to be able to stay in their home country and also develop at a professional level,
mm,
because that was not available to me or anyone else that I know who was playing football at the time. They had to either go to Europe, or like girls that I played with, they went mostly to the US and played Division
mm,
Two in the US, or Division One. And for me, that wasn't really an option either, because to be able to get scouted, it takes a lot of work as well when there's not as much development for women's football. And I think now with technology, it's easier to get scouted. I'm not sure if it's still focused like
mm,
more towards men, or if it's also focused on women as well. And so I think that that's another thing too, that technology is really helping players get scouted. That's a huge thing nowadays.
mm.
There's
I
also
love
a
it.
company called Eyeball. I think it's called Eyeball, and it's like a whole AI software, I think, as well.
We'll tag them in. We've given them a plug. Um, Yeah, I love all of that. I know that we have like on that subject and your experiences. I think all of us we have so much to talk about, and um, yeah, especially around like attendance of games and stuff, and you've had your own recent experiences, which I
Yeah.
guess we'll maybe reserve for another
We'll
for
touch
another
on
time.
that at a because that's a whole
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah,
conversation.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we'll touch on that. But yeah, I think like obviously wanted to welcome you and show the world like you, what you do, uh, the languages, the content, the skills, your like awareness of the game and how the dynamic is unfolding. And obviously we're going to do loads more together, and people will see your face a lot more because they'd rather see it than this face. Um, so yeah, like I think that's it for now.
Thanks for the chat today, Matt. As
You're
always.
very welcome. You're very welcome. I like all these chats. Next time I need to have like a cup of coffee or something
Me
with me.
too. We need to have like a coffee or a tea and be like,
Yep. Love it. Thanks, E.
awesome. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.